If you're new to the channel, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe button, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought about the video. And as I always like to preface by saying, I am not a basketball expert. I'm just a fan who's naturally obsessed. So I was just watching ESPN, and Bobby Marks came on and kind of did a follow-up on what Brian Windhorst was talking about this morning on Get Up. And he was talking about just a hypothetical 4-team trade scenario between the Phoenix Suns, the Brooklyn Nets, the Utah Jazz, and the Indiana Pacers. And right off the bat, when I saw that this morning, I thought, it's kind of coincidence that Flex has been talking about a lot of this stuff weeks before any of the other national media, the NBA insiders have been talking about it. And I did a follow-up video on it as soon as I saw the tweet from Flex, because I had been hearing rumblings about Utah. I had been hearing rumblings about the Pacers. And I had heard some rumblings about a 3-team trade between the Nets, the Suns, and the Jazz. And right off the bat, I didn't get any confirmation from this from the people that I talked to that you already know I trust fully, but I brought my personal opinion into it and said I do not see the Indiana Pacers being involved in a 3-team trade between the Brooklyn Nets and the Phoenix Suns. But never once. Very, very foolish of me, and that's why I love making this content, guys. I love it for a number of reasons, but one of the reasons why I love this content is because I'm kind of learning from my mistakes. I always tell you guys, stop looking at things and judging things and forming opinions on surface level stuff, because most of the time, 9 times out of 10, when it's all said and done, you're going to feel very foolish, because there's always going to be some sort of circumstance. Maybe the end result is what you thought it was going to be, but a lot of the time, it's going to be formed from something that we didn't tend to think about. And to my own demise, I did not think fully outside the box, because never once did I think, but what about a 4-team trade scenario? And that's what Bobby Marks kind of went into detail. Bobby Marks is all about the numbers, and he broke down a trade between the 4 teams that I absolutely love, and I think it could potentially be a benefit for all 4 sides. So if you have not seen it, just to give you a brief rundown, the 4-team trade, again, the Brooklyn Nets, the Phoenix Suns, the Utah Jazz, and the Indiana Pacers. He has, obviously, Kevin Durant would be going to the Phoenix Suns. The Brooklyn Nets would be receiving Donovan Mitchell, Mikal Bridges, and Miles Turner. The Indiana Pacers would be receiving Deandre Ayton, and the Utah Jazz would be receiving Ben Simmons, Cam Thomas, not Cam Johnson, Cam Thomas from the Nets, 5 first-round picks, 4 from the Phoenix Suns, and 1 from Indiana that they own via the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then 3 pick swaps from the Phoenix Suns. And I'm sure more would be included, just because I'm not 100% sure what all the salaries look like. Bobby Marks says it works, so I take his word for it. He knows the numbers much better than probably 99% of us, but that I'm sure some smaller pieces would be included in that as well. But that's just the main basis of a 4-team trade scenario. And guys, I got to tell you, it makes a lot of sense. And the Brooklyn Nets, they get their all-star player, a guy in Mikal Bridges that I say and beat the drum, top 5 defensive player in the NBA, borderline all-star potentially. When Draymond Green announced he would miss the all-star game this year, Mikal Bridges was mentioned as a potential injury replacement from the vast majority of the national media. Obviously, they went with DeJounte Murray, who was very deserving, but Mikal Bridges was playing as a borderline all-star this year. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And Miles Turner, a guy they were linked to a ton at the trade deadline. I just think for them makes a ton of sense. I would be very surprised, however, if there was 0 draft capital that was heading to Brooklyn, but those players I think are enough to get the conversation in serious talks. As far as the Indiana Pacers, the Utah Jazz have shown interest in Deandre Ayton. I can confirm that, but at what level, I cannot confirm. I do not believe it's at max value, which is something that has been said. The Indiana Pacers are interested in Deandre Ayton at max value. So a sign and trade to the Pacers makes a ton of sense. They get a guy that they highly value, and it gets that salary off the books for the Phoenix Suns to be able to take on a Kevin Durant. And then for the Utah Jazz, that's where things get interesting. You know, Cam Thomas is a guy, young player, a lot of potential, has overplayed the spot he was drafted at, was a great value pick for the Brooklyn Nets, and I think he still has a load of potential. He's doing really well in Summer League this year, and I know it's Summer League, can't really put a lot of stock into it, but he's one of those guys that I like to classify as being probably too good to be in Summer League, but it's experience, and I think he's going to benefit from it. And then the big question mark, Ben Simmons. I made a video about this yesterday when the news came out that Donovan Mitchell was reportedly available for the right price. And I brought up how Donovan Mitchell, if indeed the Nets were to engage in trade talks to try to get him, they wouldn't be able to do so with Ben Simmons on the books. He would have to be either traded in another deal or be a part of that trade and sent to Utah. I understand. Most of you probably are thinking, why would the Jazz even want Ben Simmons? I'm totally with you right there. I question, why would the Jazz be interested in Ben Simmons? And I even mentioned, would you have to throw a little extra their way in order to get them to take Ben Simmons, such as draft compensation? And maybe, as I'm talking about this, I'm thinking right now, maybe you get away with not having to send draft compensation to the Brooklyn Nets and say, hey, to take this guy off of our hands, we'll no draft picks, we'll give you all the draft compensation in this trade. I just thought of that right now. Let me know what you guys think about that. I'm like, could make sense. But this is a scenario, guys, that I think is very realistic. Whether it's going to happen or not, I don't know. I do know that this was talked about, and for anyone who keeps doubting Flex, I know the vast majority of you that subscribe know Flex very well, know how great of a track record he does have, and all offseason he's been making these predictions, and in the moment, everyone's saying, oh no, that's ridiculous, that's not going to happen. And then what do you know, a couple weeks later, what Flex said is starting to get talked about amongst the national media and NBA insiders. So, guys, Flex has earned the trust of me. I know for most of you, Flex has earned the trust. I don't know Flex personally, but like I say time and time again, I know some of the people I get my information from know Flex, and they've talked to me about him. Real deal. Guy knows what the hell he's talking about, and he knows some people in some very high places, so he gets a lot more information than I do. I have zero reason to doubt him, nor should you. But let me know what you guys think about that 4-team scenario. Does it make sense? Does it not make sense? Let me know your thoughts and why. And as far as the Phoenix Suns aspect of this, before we end things, the main concern was the Phoenix Suns do not want to gut the core of their team. Rightfully so. No one should, because at the end of the day, yeah, it would be nice to have a big three of Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, and Devin Booker. But if you trade a Mikal Bridges, a Cam Johnson, a Jay Crowder, Landry Shamet, Torrey Craig, all those guys, some of those players, the Suns are looking to move for upgrades, but I'm just saying if you trade all of that, what's left? Especially with the scraps we have in free agency. If you trade all of that away, there's no assets left to try to trade for other potential upgrades. And in this case, there would be. I want to keep Mikal Bridges more than anything. If there was a way to make it possible, and I'm sure there is, Bobby Marks probably just threw Mikal Bridges in there because he's a bigger cap number than a Cam Johnson, and it's easier to make the numbers match and work. And plus, Mikal Bridges is a better player than Cam Johnson. But just say this is indeed the trade and the Phoenix Suns are able to keep Cam Johnson. Guys, as a Phoenix Suns fan, I can live with that. I'm going to have my few minutes where I cry because of how much I love Mikal Bridges. That is my boy. I love him. He's my favorite player on the team and easily the best defensive player on the team. But guys, at the end of the day, it's a huge win for the Phoenix Suns if, in fact, that trade did happen, because you still get to keep Cam Johnson, who I would suspect would slot into that small forward starting role, which I think his skill set is much better suited for anyways, as the team was right now. I made videos a few months ago talking about how I know for a fact there was conversations happening throughout the regular season that the Phoenix Suns organization felt comfortable starting a Cam Johnson over a Jay Crowder, and they felt comfortable having Cam Johnson as the starting power forward going into this year if Jay Crowder was moved and an upgrade could not be acquired. The Phoenix Suns love Cam Johnson and they feel comfortable starting him at power forward, but guys, I think you and I can both agree that his skill set is much better suited at the small forward, and as phenomenal as he is offensively, great shooter, very underrated athlete. I think we can all agree his athleticism surprised the hell out of me when he got into the NBA. Because like you guys, I like to think I do my homework on these guys before they enter the league. But Cam Johnson, I think 99% of us can say we swung and missed at our initial reaction to the Phoenix Suns drafting Cam Johnson. At number 11, it looked like the Suns took a huge reach. And now if we could draft over again, Cam Johnson would be a top 10 player selected. No doubt about it. And the most underrated aspect of Cam Johnson's game is his defense. Nowhere near the same universe as Mikal Bridges, so I'm not trying to say, they won't miss Mikal Bridges' defense. But as a sixth man, on most of the possessions where Mikal Bridges was off the floor on the bench and Cam Johnson was playing at the small forward, the power forward, a vast majority of the time, I'd say probably a good 60 to 70% of the time, Cam Johnson was tasked with guarding the best offensive player, and he did more than hold his own, guys. He did more than hold his own. You can look at the numbers for yourself. He did a very good job, held most of those guys to very low shooting percentages. I would be okay with this, and it still leaves plenty of assets to go out there and at least try to make more trades to acquire more upgrades. For example, I've been beating the drum for Jakob Poeltl. I think he's very gettable from the San Antonio Spurs, and I know there's mixed reactions and mixed feelings about who Jakob Poeltl is as a player, but he's a very underrated defensive player, and I think he would fit perfectly for the Phoenix Suns. I love Bismack Biyombo, but guys, I would rather have Jakob Poeltl as my starting center in this type of offense, because the major point of emphasis in this 0.5 Monty Williams offense, Deandre Ayton, he's fun as a center in this offense. He can play defense, probably not utilized the best offensively, but that's not what centers do in this offense, guys. There's a reason why Deandre Ayton wasn't a featured player in the offense most of the time. It's because we need defense from that position, and Jakob Poeltl will get it. And like I said, I think he's gettable from the San Antonio Spurs. You could probably, don't quote me on this, I'm just thinking to myself, because they're a rebuilding team, no doubt about it. You can probably get him for a Jay Crowder expiring contract, maybe a couple second-round picks, because obviously you're not going to have any first-rounders left to deal. Send him a couple second-rounders. I think that gets it done. But let me know what you guys think. I'm really curious to know where you're at. And guys, things, obviously, we're still a ways away from knowing what's going to happen, if anything happens. But I don't know about you guys. I'm feeling pretty good. I've been very loud and outspoken. A lot of you have been very supportive, riding with me. You guys are riders. I appreciate and love the hell out of you. Then there's some of you that are speaking nonsense, talking shit. All I can say, guys, is I can't wait to do my victory lap when this is all said and done. Who knows when that's going to be? Maybe a couple weeks, maybe a couple months. But I'm standing by it, guys. When not if. I appreciate you guys watching. Please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe button, comment down below. Let me know what you thought about the video, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks, guys.